Welcome to Romance Therapy Book Club. This is a space where romance stories meet real-life reflection. We read short romance stories, not just for entertainment, but as mirrors that help us explore love, attachment, healing, boundaries, and the relationship we're building with ourselves. Romance therapy isn't about finding the one. It's about understanding why we love the way we do and learning how to love ourselves more intentionally. Whether you're partnered, single, healing, or just curious, you belong here. We read together, we reflect honestly, and we grow, one story at a time. If this resonates with you, stay a while. The conversation is just getting started.
The soft flicker of candlelight usually signaled something intentional. Anniversaries, apologies, moments carefully planned. But that evening, it was the unexpected stillness of it that stopped me. I noticed the candles first when I stepped into the living room. 3 of them, spaced unevenly on the coffee table, their flames steady and calm, as if they'd been left to stand guard. Vontae's meditation cushion rested nearby, slightly indented, proof that he'd only just finished. He must have forgotten to blow them out. I smiled to myself. Candles didn't extinguish on their own, but somehow the way they waited felt deliberate, like an unspoken pause. I leaned forward and gently blew them out one by one, thin trails of smoke curling upward before disappearing. The room felt warmer for having held the light, even after it was gone. I turned toward the bedroom, ready to change out of my work clothes, when something caught my eye. Rose petals. At first, I thought one had fallen accidentally, maybe tracked in from outside or dropped from a forgotten bouquet. But then I noticed another. And another. They formed a loose trail, scattered just enough to look effortless, leading away from the bedroom door. I followed them. Vontae was not the kind of man who staged grand romantic gestures. He didn't believe love needed spotlights or excess, but when he wanted to say something without words, he did it quietly, precisely, like this. The petals led me down the hall to the bathroom. When I opened the door, warmth greeted me immediately, fogging the mirror and softening the edges of the room. The tub was filled nearly to the brim, steam rising gently from the surface. Rose petals floated across the water like small, delicate boats. A bottle of scented oil sat uncapped on the counter, its familiar fragrance already working its way into my chest. The water was still warm. That meant he'd been here recently, preparing, checking, making sure everything was just right. I exhaled, a long breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding all day. Today had been heavy, the kind of day that didn't announce itself as difficult, but weighed on you all the same. Meetings that drained more than they gave, smiles I had to force, responsibilities that paid the bills but demanded pieces of me I wished I could save for my dreams instead. Writing was where I felt most alive, where I made sense of things, where I could build worlds and love stories that lingered long after the last sentence. Lately, my thoughts had been consumed by Symphony James and Terrence Redding, 2 characters whose story refused to let me rest. Readers were waiting. The story was waiting. And yet, I'd had nothing left when I sat down to write. Until now. I slipped out of my clothes and stepped into the bath, easing myself into the water inch by inch. The warmth wrapped around me immediately, loosening the tension in my shoulders, my jaw, my thoughts. I leaned back, letting the tub support me in ways I hadn't allowed myself all day. The scent of the oils, lavender with something deeper, grounding, filled the room. Vontae knew exactly what worked on me. He always had. This was his language, care expressed through attention, love spoken through action. I closed my eyes. The water rippled softly as I shifted, rose petals brushing against my skin. My mind slowed, the noise of the day fading into something distant and manageable. I thought about how easy it was to overlook moments like this. How love, in its truest form, often arrived quietly, after meditation sessions, between errands, without announcement. Somewhere down the hall, I heard footsteps pause. I didn't open my eyes, but I smiled. This moment wasn't about grand declarations or perfect timing. It was about being seen, about being given space to rest, about someone knowing what you needed before you asked. And as the water held me, warm and steady, I let myself receive it. For once, the story could wait. Love was already speaking. Suddenly, I heard his voice, low, gentle, unmistakably his. "Vanessa, let me help you out of the tub, baby." I opened my eyes to find him standing beside me, a soft towel draped over his arm, his presence calm and unhurried. When I reached for him, he steadied me easily, wrapping the towel around my body before I could even feel the chill of the air. He pulled me close, and the familiar scent of sandalwood rose up around me, warm, grounding, home. Before I could say another word, my feet left the floor. "What are you doing, Vante?" I laughed, startled, instinctively wrapping my arms around his neck. "I got you," he said simply. And he did. His hold was steady, sure, as if carrying me were the most natural thing in the world. In that moment, I understood this was his love language. Not loud, not performative, just present, just intentional. He carried me as though I were something precious, something worth slowing down for. That was when it settled into my chest. Romance doesn't always arrive wrapped in grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it looks like rose petals placed quietly after meditation, a bath drawn without being asked, a towel warmed and waiting, arms strong enough to lift you when you're too tired to stand on your own. Love lives in those moments, the everyday ones that don't beg for attention but linger long after they pass. That night, as Vante held me close, I felt deeply grateful for the quiet romance we share. The kind built on knowing each other well enough to love with care instead of spectacle. The kind that understands rest is sacred, that presence is enough. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about planning. It was about being seen. It was about being held. It was about love showing up, softly, steadily, and exactly when I needed it most. And that, I realized, was everything.
Thank you for listening and for being part of this growing community. Every story, every reflection, and every voice matters here. I'm truly glad you chose to spend this time with us. If you're interested in learning more about how you can host your own romance therapy group, please send an inquiry through www.graceguidance.com, where we produce media, events, and books, and offer services designed to support healing, inspire love, and help you live your life on purpose.